Okay, hey there guys. So in this video, it's going to be two wars because the war against TCN, the TCN war, I got my assignments and it was very light. It was just how kind of the paths worked. We needed these certain champions, someone had to bring them, and there wasn't, I guess, a path that would allow for me to take all the fights. So section 1 is just this one fight. And then in section 2, I have to split my lane with someone else, actually my officer, the person who assigned it, so it's fine. These are just pretty quick fights. I maybe made a demand that I was not going to boost twice for this war, because it was 2 fights, and I was not going to use like 6 boosts on 2 fights. So it wasn't like a demand, it was really how it was going to work either way, because me and the guy were going to basically move up all the way through section 2 all in one go. So we both got to use our boosts. This Jabari goes very fast here. This war, from what I'm remembering, it wasn't very close. I think they died fairly early, and we weren't dying too much very early on. So this Nick Fury here is actually a little bit annoying here because of the way the prowess node works in his SP1. As you'll see, I gain a prowess for the dex, then he gains 6 prowess. If you can fully dex his SP1 here, you're probably like just nasty with your damage, but I don't quite do that, especially not in war. But I got my mutant power boosts on, and I put suicides on for this. Maybe I should have done like half suicides or something, but I kind of wanted just to get this done with as fast as I can. I had a lot to do this day, so I just full suicides, boosted, and under a minute fight for Nick Fury. Pretty good. And 7-3. Not like a big gap in deaths, but it was a very good war. Always a fun war against TCN. They usually play pretty well, keep it fairly low deaths, so it was a good game to them. And then the next war, this was an odd matchup when everyone saw it. We usually get just like very hard matchups. Not that NY is not a good alliance. They just don't focus on AW. They're like plat 1 right now, so it was really weird that we got them. Typically, we get someone lower. Right there, I tried that again with the 3 lights into the medium into the heavy, but the first time, I'm not sure if it purified the shock too slow or what, but it ended up on the second one, he resisted me, and luckily I didn't get parried on the resist and he didn't counter in. It would have been fine probably even if he had, because I'm Dr. Doom, as long as he doesn't throw the SP1 with like a couple prowess. And then there I'm just nullifying his overpower buff, and I'm using my power steal so I get up to my SP3. But yeah, playing NY was a really odd one. We weren't really expecting to get them in a matchup. And it was also odd because we've faced both Max Prestige alliances back to back, if you think about it. Which, pretty rare because like there's only like 2 alliances Max Prestige and we pulled both them back to back. Kind of weird now that I was thinking about it when I was making this video. I didn't think about it when we pulled them. So here for this Chavez, someone else gave me a white Magneto. I needed my white Magneto pre-fights for other fights. For that Kingpin, if there's one thing I could change about this war, it would probably actually be not using my white Magneto on Kingpin. It wasn't really needed. Also, sorry if my voice sounds a little bit off, my allergies have been like really bad. So for this Chavez, there's just really like 2 keys. Use your heavy to get the Fury whenever you can, because it's a really easy opening, and don't miss a parry. You just don't want her throwing her heavies, that's how she starts getting her stances up, and I don't know if I've actually tested it, but the stance that she gains naturally on a heavy, like if her heavy finishes, it reduces your passive power gain by 50%, and that should affect Doom's power steal. So that's not something I want to mess with here. So I just have to make sure I hit my parries, but now that I got the SP3 off with the Fury, of course, it takes off 31,000 health. Combos are just nuking into her. Throw the SP1, get up to SP2, 12% left, so of course the SP2 will just rinse her down. So this next fight is actually the interesting one. So I use an energy, and I was asking, I had to wait a second for an alliance mate to give me a taxi. If we used our energy right, I could get through my entire war on 1 set of boosts, and I was able to do that. So as you can tell, this fight is on 2 times speed. So I'll kind of quickly go over this. So nothing Rintroth, I think that's how you say his name. I haven't watched Doctor Strange 2 yet. Please don't get on me about that. Nothing he can do affects Doom except for one thing. when you hit him, he has a 60% chance to apply a neutralize, which is minus 100% ability accuracy on a buff. And I was hoping that during my SP3 it wouldn't trigger. So I kept on getting the neutralize on me during SP3 so I wouldn't get my Fury. And then the other issue is he has, I want to say 20% energy resistance. Right here, it's a bit hard to tell in the fast forward, but if you can see it, it like paused. There was a massive lag spike in the middle of his SP2, and I was really worried I was about to get clapped because that's where his big damage comes from. But yeah, so he has a fair bit of extra energy resistance, plus the willpower. So like I always have a shock on him, or I'll have incinerates on him, so he's literally healing the whole time. Right there, I forgot to keep knocking him down, and so then he gains his unstoppable. I'm dashing back and it misses, and then there I'm luckily able to get off an SP1 to remove his SP3. Now I'm against my wall, I'm like, oh shoot, this is going bad. And I think it was this SP3 or the previous one, I was like, man, I feel like I've been in this fight a while. How much time do I... Oh, it's already been 3 minutes. This was a 3-minute rank 4 Doom fight. That is insanely long. So I think a lot of that comes down to me. I could have and should have just played it a lot better. I should have been throwing my SP2 a lot more aggressively, especially after my first SP3. Next time I won't be trying to get the Fury off of my SP3. Oh, and here is why I would say I would have changed the Kingpin placement for the pre-fight. I would have put the pre-fight here. But yeah, so that fight, maybe I'll go into that another time. But yeah, it was just slow. I should have thrown SP2s more. So right here, I missed the parry, and I'm getting just like nervous, so I just keep missing the parry like a dumb idiot. Fortunately, I'm not dexing, and then I land the parry, and he doesn't shrug it off, so I dash back thinking he would shrug it off. And he does it again, but luckily that time I do it. Now here he takes off 40% of my health in a single SP2 because of the prowess. I was a little bit worried there that wasn't going to work, but I'm able to get the heavy. I get my triple buff SP2 off. I'm just going to wait for him to come back in. I was thinking about, I think, using a special intercept there, but then I was like, oh, but I'd lose the dex, so I parried him and took another hit. I should have just thrown the SP2 probably. It would have done so much damage. But the SP3, it's CGR, it kills. It's a 91,000 SP3. Very, very fast. Yeah, so I would have done that, so I wouldn't have had those hesitancies on those like first couple parries. I would have been less nervous. And then here, I have the same thing. I don't know why. This war, I was told to bring CGR, but I wasn't told for which fight. But at this point, we were up 12-1, so I don't think anyone was like caring too much, if that makes sense. We were caring, but it wasn't like, hey, let's make sure this is perfectly planned out. Right here, I knew I wanted to get my Vigilance up in time before his Falter, so I trigger the Falter while I have Vigilance, I get my power gain, and I'm just trying to get any opening I can, throw the SP2, and it goes through him. But yeah, I don't know why. In especially the Arcus fight, I felt like I was just potatoing around. My mind was just like, missing parry, miss parry, miss parry, bad heavy counter. And against Professor here, it wasn't too bad. It wasn't actually too bad for this Professor fight, I feel like. The Professor fight goes fairly well, I would say. And that wraps up both wars against both Prestige alliances. We win both of them. This one was not as close, but as I said, NY doesn't focus on war. It was fun matching them. Good game to them. Like, there's nothing bad to say about them. Yeah. Good game to y'all. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll be seeing you guys soon. Bye.